Hello everybody. So today I want to talk to you guys about how to get started on your 3D model for AutoCAD. So the first thing I want you guys to do is go ahead and open up the floor plan you plan on working on. Again, you guys will be doing one room model. So you guys can choose to do that either on the first floor or the second floor. It's totally your choice. What I have here is the first floor plan, and I'm going to get started on this office area here. So the first thing I want you guys to do is, again, open up your floor plan you plan to work off of, and then I want you guys to save as. I've already did it for this model that I'm going to be working off of. So once I opened this first floor plan, I just went to Start, Save As, and I saved this as 3D model. And you just want to do that just to make sure that you don't mess anything up on the floor plans you guys plan to turn in, and it just gives you guys a little bit more freedom. Okay. So also before we transition into the 3D portion, you want to go ahead and mess with your layers a little bit. I want you guys to turn off every layer that's not your exterior wall or your interior wall, and it's just going to make it a little bit more easier when we go to pull our walls up, so that we don't have extra things in our model space that we don't need. So I'm just going to click on my layers flyout here, and I'm going to go and turn off all of the layers that are not my exterior wall or my interior wall. And the way you guys are going to do that is just simply clicking on that light bulb next to each layer. So I'm just going to click on all of those, and I'm just going to skip over the exterior wall and the interior wall layer. Again, I'm skipping over the exterior and the interior walls, and I'm going to turn off the rest of these. So now when you guys go back to your model space, you're only going to have, again, those exterior wall layers and your interior wall layers, which is what you want. The next thing that I want you guys to do before we transition over is whatever area you're choosing to work on, we just want to close up the gaps where our windows or our doors are. So in this case, I have 5 different areas that I need to close up. So I have this area, this one, that one, and then where my interior door goes. So I'm just going to simply close up these areas. I'm going to select those lines, delete them, and I'm again just going to close up so that this is a closed loop that I have here. And I'm just following the same process of closing this up. And you can actually probably just delete these lines here and just make a closed loop based on those 2 outer lines that you have. So I'm just going to delete these, and I'm going to select this interior wall here and bring that all the way up. And I'm just going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay, so now I've closed up again all of those gaps where my windows go, excuse me. And now I'm going to actually close up this door portion as well. And I will do that the same process that I did when I closed up the windows. Perfect. Now I completely have closed loops in this area that I plan to model. And so you just want to make sure that your model, that you do those couple steps that we just walked through before you guys begin to transition over into the 3D model space. So now that I've done this, I'm going to go down to my bottom ribbon, and I want to go all the way over to where it says Workspace Switching, and I'm going to click on my flyout here, and I'm going to move from drafting and annotation to 3D modeling. In class, we went over briefly the 3D basics, which is just the basic tools that you guys are going to see when you move into the more advanced portion of it, which is the 3D modeling. So we're going to go ahead and start with the 3D modeling since we kind of got used to the tools, the basic tools that we will be using in this actual space. So I'm just going to click on 3D modeling and allow AutoCAD to switch over for me. Now you guys should see, once you do that switch, you should see that your ribbon has changed up top. One other thing that I like to do too is when I move over into the 3D portion, I actually change my background from black to white. It just makes it a little bit more easier for me to see. But again, this is just preference. So whatever you feel more comfortable with, do that. So I'm just going to change my background to white, and you guys know how to do this. Just right click, go to options, go to display, go to colors, and I'm just going to go to color and change this to white, apply and close, and press OK again, and now I have a white background. Now I'm going to start to first extrude my walls up. That'll be the first step that you take. And in order to start to do that, I want to actually take this to a perspective view so that I can see this in isometric. So you guys can do that doing a couple different options. You guys can use your cube here. On your right side, you can select the different portions on your cube, and that will take you to a view. Or if you have a lighter view outside of black, you will also see your options over here, and you can just click on top and select what view you want to go to. So I'm actually going to be going to my southwest view, so I'm just going to click here, and that's going to take me to a perspective view here. Okay, so once I have this, again, I'm going to start to use my press pull tool to extrude those walls up. Now, before you guys actually start to do this, you want to check to see what layer you're on. So in this case, I'm on a layer that is actually turned off, so that when I go to use this tool, I won't actually see this tool working. So you just want to make sure that you go to you want to make sure that you go to a layer that's on, which the layers we have on are only our exterior wall layer and our interior wall layer. So I'm just going to go to my exterior wall layer, and just to make sure that when I do a tool in my modeling portion, that I can actually see that happening. So again, just make sure that you're on one of those two layers before you start to mess with any of your tools. Okay, so now let's kind of zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to get my press pull tool, and I'm actually going to be extruding my walls up 10 feet. So all of your walls in your final project will be at 10 feet. So I'm just going to grab my press pull tool. And again, when you're using this tool, you just want to hover until you see that area, that complete area that you want to do highlight. So right now, you just want to make sure, again, if you're using that, you're not just selecting individual lines, but you want to make sure that you get that cursor right in the middle, in the hollow portion of the area that you want to pull up. So I'm going to hover. I'm going to click one time. That's going to actually grab this area for me. So once I click one time, you guys will see that it now starts to pull that area up. So once I click one time, I'm going to pull it upward, and I'm actually going to type in what I want that height to be. So in this case, I'm going to do these walls at 10 feet. So I'm just going to type in 10 feet on my keyboard and press enter, and that will take those walls to 10 feet for me. Okay, and I'm just going to do that for this interior portion here, as well as this full wall here, since there is a small portion that's a part of the room that I'm creating. So again, I'm just going to hover until I see that whole entire area is selected. I'm going to click one time, That's going to grab that portion for me, and I'm going to type in what I want that distance to be. So I'm just going to again type in 10 feet and press enter. And I'm going to skip the fireplace for now, and I'm going to do this interior portion here. Again, I'm going to hover, click, drag it up, and I'm going to type in that distance, 10 feet, and press enter. Okay, so you guys can see that it's starting to build up that interior portion for me. And now I want to actually deal with this fireplace. So I'm going to do the standard height of a fireplace at 54 inches. And then we're going to deal with actually closing up that gap. So I'm just going to, again, hover so that that full area is selected. I'm going to click once to start to pull it up. And I'm going to type in 54 inches and press enter. And that's going to, again, extrude that portion up for me. Now, to get out of that tool, I just want to press escape. Excuse me. And now I'm out of that tool. Now, one thing I want to show you guys, again, if you want to navigate and go around your model, you can use your view cube by just clicking on an area that you see and holding that down and moving it. So I'm just going to click once, and you should see your pivot come up, and that allows you to move around that model. You can also, if you don't want to use your view cube, you can press down shift on your keyboard, press down the middle part of your mouse, and that will also allow you to pan around your model to see that. So if we're looking at that model now, we can see that we've created all of our walls as well as our fireplace that we've extruded up. Okay. So now what I want to do is I just want to see what this looks like in a conceptual frame. So again, to change what that view looks like when you're looking at it, right now we're in 2D wireframe, so everything is see-through. If we want to change that to a more solid finish, we can either do that through our view area here by just clicking down on that flyout next to 2D wireframe. And we can change again what we want that to look like in our view. So I can go to conceptual, and that will shade again those shade in everything so we can see it more in a solid form. You can also again go to this area on your left side, click on where it says conceptual or whatever view you're in, and you can again select what you want that to look like. Okay. So we're now back at our wireframe. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to deal with putting in where my window openings are. So again, we have our walls. We'll deal with this fireplace in a second. But I now want to deal with where that window placement is going to be at. So I want to show you guys a couple things before I get into that portion. And then we can get into adding those openings in for the windows. Now, when you guys are working in this space, you can actually choose on what axis you want to draw. So if I'm trying to draw a basic square, I probably want, or a rectangle, I want to actually, excuse me, I want to actually state first where I want, what plane or what axis I want to draw that on. So in order to do that, you guys would just go to your tab here, go over to visualize, click on that, and go to where you see coordinates. And you just want to click down on that flyout at the bottom here. So if you click down, it will show you top, bottom, left, right, front, and back. And so this allows you to choose in coordination with what your view cube is telling you. So if I want to draw on my front plane, I'm just going to select front, and anything I begin to draw will be made on that front area here. So it's kind of neat just to make sure that you're drawing on the correct axis, and you're not drawing something somewhere that you don't want it to. So we'll get more into that, but you guys will see me switch back and forth between the different axes that I want to work off of. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to my home tab. And in order to see where I need to place those windows, I'm actually going to go to my layers here again, and I want to just turn on my glaze seal. So I'm just again going to click on that light bulb to turn on that layer. Okay, and so now if you guys go to your model, you can see where you need to actually place those windows. So right now we can see here that we see where the seal of that window should go. Okay, and if you've placed whatever layer you've placed your window on, just make sure that you have that layer turned on. Okay, and if you wanted to, you can also do the glaze, and that'll create a more defined look again on where that window placement should go. So it's up to you, whatever makes it easier for you to see it in your model. So in my case, I only want to create again those window openings for the area that I am creating my model of. So I'm only going to do it for this window here, that one, and that window. Okay, so to begin to do that, I first want to take a look at this piece of information that I'm going to put on eCompanion for you, and this will give you guys kind of a guide as to what the dimensions, basic standard dimensions of what those windows should be. So in this case, I'm working in the office, so I'm going to base mine off of this private bedroom / study, and that will give me the height of what I want those windows to be, and my width of the windows will be at 3 feet. So I'm just going to create a line from where those windows start up 2 feet 6 inches, because that will be the height again. Let's zoom this in a little bit. That will be where that window starts, and then for the actual height of my window, I will do 4 feet 6 inches, and I will take that over 3 feet, but we'll get there in a minute. So right now, I only want to focus on creating a line from where I see that on the floor plan up 6 feet, and that will give us a base point on where to place those rectangles once we actually create them. So I'm going to go to where those windows are right now, and I'm just going to first change where I want to draw that line at. So I'm going to go to visualize, and since I'm working on this window here, and that's based on my view cube in my front view, I want to change the coordinates of what axis I'm drawing it on. So I'm going to go to my flyout here, and I'm going to change that to front. So anything I start to draw will be in that front view, and it will come in this way. So again, I would just want to change that to front. I want to go back to home, and I just want to get my basic line tool, which will be in your home tab over in your draw section, and I'm going to select my line tool, which is that one right in the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to again find a point. So right now I'm going to take it here, and I'm going to take it to this end point on my wall, and again I'm just going to select that, and I'm going to come up. Zoom out a little bit. I can see that a little bit better. Oh, let's see if it's going to let us snap it. Oh, let's actually escape out. Let's actually go back to visualize and change it back to world. Go back to home. Let's get that tool again and see if we get some better results on placing that line. So I just want to zoom in so that I can see where that is being placed. Okay, let's see. Is my object snap one? Yes, it is. Let's turn on parallel. I'm going to turn on perpendicular as well. And my endpoint selected, so I should be good. So again, if you're not able to hover and see your endpoints, just make sure that you're on the correct, that all of your snaps are on that should be on. Okay, so again, I'm just going to hover. I see that there. I'm going to bring it to that endpoint, and I'm just going to take it up on that wall. Remember, 2 feet 6 inches, and that just again came from that illustration that we looked at. So I'm just going to click there and press escape one time, and now that has created a line where I can anchor my rectangle that I'm about to create now. So it looks like we don't actually need to specify front in our coordinates before we can create this line. So you just want to create that line first, and now this is where our coordinates become important. And so we can go to visualize and then go back to it, or you guys can actually access that from this ribbon as well. So we're still in our home tab, but now we're going to go all the way over to coordinates, and again we're going to click down and we're going to go to our front. Okay, and again that just allows us to draw on this front layer here. And now I'm going to get my rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw a box somewhere out here. Okay, but remember I'm in my front view, so anything I create will create it correctly. So I just want to click one time. Okay, and that will again start to draw that rectangle in a front view for me. So that's what those coordinates do for you. It allows you to create something based on the plane that you selected. So we're in our front view, so it will only draw shapes in a front view for us. Okay. So I'm just going to click one time to start that tool. Once you click one time, because we know our dimensions, I'm going to actually go down here and select dimensions. And it's going to start to ask me for some length. So it's going to ask me what that length is across. Again, we want that to be 3 feet. And I'm going to press enter, and now it's going to ask me for that width, and I want that to be that 4 feet 6 inches. Again, that's just from that illustration we looked at. Okay, and I'm just going to again place that rectangle down. So that illustration, again, we wanted our window to be 4 feet 6 inches going up in height, and then we wanted that 3 feet to be that length across. Okay, so it can get kind of confusing when you guys are putting in those dimensions. You always want to make sure that you put in your width, which they don't specify it as width, they specify it as length in AutoCAD. So that first number should be what you want that width to be across, horizontal, and that second number should be what you want that to be vertical. So we did 3 feet, and then that second number we typed in was that 4 feet 6 inches, because we're doing the office or the study, and we're just going to base it on these generic dimensions here. Okay. So I'm going to exit that out. So now we have our rectangle, and what I want to do now is place this rectangle at this bottom left corner onto this baseline this guide that we created with this line. So I'm just going to select that window opening, and I'm going to get my move tool. So select it, go up to your move, select it. You want to take it from, again, that bottom left corner, and you just want to place it on that guide that you created. Okay. Again, that just ensures that that window goes up that correct height, so that that's placed correctly. Okay. So now we have the opening that we're going to use for that window. Okay. Now I'm actually going to go back up to my home tab, go over to my coordinates, and I'm going to go from front back to my world. Okay, and that's just again going to allow me to get back to those original navigation keys when I'm using my cube here. So I'm just going to hover around, pivot around, I should say that, to now create those guidelines that we did here. That line here, we're going to do it on each of these 3 windows, and we're going to follow that same process to create this rectangle so that we can take it to those base points. So again, I'm going to be in my world coordinates. I'm going to get my line tool, I'm just going to find the end point of this window here. I should probably, oh, let's took me out of that tool for some reason. Okay, let's make sure everything's on. And sometimes it can be really tricky to grab your points, but you just got to stick at it and it'll allow you to do it. So that's my endpoint. Again, I'm going to start here. Oh, there it is. So that's the endpoint. Okay, so it's snapping me to that endpoint right now. So again, I'm just going to go here. Once I have that point on my wall, I'm going to click one time. And again, I'm just going to take that up, that 2 feet 6 inches, and press enter. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and do that for these 2 windows as well. So I'm just going to hover. I'm going to get my line tool. Again, we're just creating guidelines to kind of help us along the way. Okay, I just want to make sure that lines up. Okay, so that's lining up for me, so I'm just going to click. I'm going to take that line. Oh, did I have my line tool selected? Yes, I did. So I just want to click here. And I just want to take that up again, that 2 feet 6 inches. Press escape. Now I got one more window to do. So again, I'm going to get that line tool. Okay. And it actually may be snapping on those points for you. So if it's doing that, it should line up. So right now, when I hovered, it created that endpoint, and then I see that green dotted line, and it actually lines up with the edge that I'm trying to select. So that means I'm good. So I'm just going to click. Oh, I'm just going to click. Nope. Sometimes it goes out of the tool for some reason. So you just want to make sure if it's not giving you that line tool, that you just click that line tool again. Okay, and I'm just going to go up 2 feet 6 inches again, press enter and escape. Okay, so now I have all of my guidelines for where I need to place those window openings on this wall as well. So now I want to actually change again the coordinate and the axis that I'm working off of. Right now I'm on my right side, so I just want to change. Again, underneath coordinates, click down, and I want to change it to right. Okay. Once I have that, I'm going to get my rectangle tool, select it, and now it will only allow me to draw on that right side. Okay. So I'm going to click once to anchor that tool, and in this case, because I know my dimensions, I'm just going to go down to my ribbon here and select dimensions. It's going to ask again for the length, and you just want to do 3 feet across, which will be that horizontal dimension first. 3 feet, press enter on your keyboard. Then it's going to ask for the width, which is actually that vertical length. So I'm going to type in again that 4 feet 6 inches and press enter. Okay. And once I have that dimension, I have to click again in my model space to anchor that rectangle in my model space. Okay. So now again, I want to move this from this left bottom corner to my base guidelines that I created the same way I did this first portion here. So again, I'm just going to select that, and this time I'm just going to copy since I have 3 of them to do. So I'm just going to copy, and I'm just going to take it again from that bottom left corner, and I'm just going to take it to that guide point for all of these windows here. Okay, and once I have it all done, I'm just going to press escape, and I can go ahead and delete that original rectangle that I created. Okay, so we now have all of our window openings, and I'm going to just go back in and delete those guidelines that I created because I won't need them. And you just simply select and delete. Okay, perfect. And now I'm actually going to change from my wireframe to my conceptual view again, just so I can again just see it more in a solid form. So I'm just going to go, I'm in my home tab, I'm going to go over to view, click down on the flyout where it says 2D wireframe, and go to conceptual. And so now you guys again can see where I've placed those window openings, and now I just need to open those areas up. So I'm just going to again get my press pull tool, and I'm going to hover in the inside of those rectangles that I created, and I'm going to push them back, and that's going to actually take out that space in which I pull back. So I'm just going to select press pull. I'm going to hover, and I'm just going to take it back. It doesn't really matter the distance that you take it back. It's just going to take that void out. So you guys see how it just kind of took that void out, and I'm just going to do it for all of the other ones too. Again, you have to be careful where you actually place that press pull tool. So you want to make sure that you're getting it in that actual rectangle space and not on your wall. So you guys see how it's highlighting the wall now? You want to make sure that it's only highlighting that rectangle that you're working on. So again, I'm going to click one time, and I'm just going to pull it out past that wall, and you guys can see that back there on my cursor. And again, it doesn't matter how far you pull it out. You just want to click, bring it out, and then click the second time once you have that pushed out back some, and that's going to take out again that opening for you. And I'm just going to do it for this last one here, and again that opens up that portion for me. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and escape out of this tool, and I'm going to make sure to go back to my world coordinates just to make sure I don't mess anything up. So I'm going to go back, I'm in my home, I'm going to go to coordinates, and I'm going to change it back to world. Again, that's just going to place my cube back upright and allow me to pivot around without any issues. So I'm just going to again escape out of here, and I'm just going to come around here some. Okay, just so I can see that other rectangle there. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing with this rectangle that I just did with these portions. I'm going to grab my press pull tool. I'm going to hover so that I'm inside that box. Click one time. I'm going to just pull it back and click a second time, and that will get rid of again that portion for me. Okay, so now I have my walls, and I also have all of my window openings. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my 2D wireframe again so that I'm able to see again through those walls. And now I'm actually going to turn on my door layer, because as you guys know, we have a door, well, depending on the space you're working in my case, I have a door on this wall here. So I'm going to need to actually cut out an opening for where that door will need to be placed as well. So I'm going to go back to my layers here. Again, I'm still in my home tab. Go over to where your layers are. Click down. And I'm going to now find my door layer, which this is it for me. And I'm going to turn it on. Okay. And now you guys see, and it's very vague, but you guys can see where that door is. Okay, And I'm just going to do the same thing that I did for my windows. I want to create myself some type of guidelines to work off of. It just makes it easier when you're trying to create that guide. So I'm going to, again, just get my line tool here. And let's see how easy it makes it for me to select it. Okay, so it looks like it's on. Okay, so it's giving me that point again like it did with the windows, where it's just automatically creating that parallel point for me, which makes it a lot easier to create those guidelines. So I'm just going to select. Again, if you don't see that line being created, just make sure that you click on that line tool again, just to make sure that it's going to create it for you. So I know that my door needs to be 7 feet going up. That's just a standard. So I'm just going to do 7 feet and press enter. And I want that to, I actually want to escape out and go ahead and create my guideline on the other side, and then take that point across. So I'm going to select again that line tool. And I'm going to see if CAD will go ahead and give me that parallel point like it did for the other one. So let's see if we're that lucky. Okay, so it's not doing it for this one, but that's okay. We can just use our offset tool. So I'm just going to get my offset tool to offset this guideline over 3 feet. Okay, because that's again the opening of my door. So I'm going to get my offset tool. I'm going to type in 3 feet, press enter, select my point. Oh, let's see, selected. So again, we just want to get our offset tool. But first, we actually need to create a guideline. So I'm just going to escape out. And I just want to create a guideline here that I'm able to offset so that we can get that other point. So again, I'm just going to escape out of offset really quick. Go to get my line tool. And I'm just going to click on that line, and I'm just going to take it to that point there. That's just so that I can get a horizontal plane to offset. So now that I have that guide there, I'm just going to again get my offset tool, and I'm going to offset it 3 feet. Press enter, and I'm going to select that guide point that I created, and I'm going to offset that 3 feet. So now you guys should see that 3 feet selected. And now I'm going to go and get my line tool again and just create a vertical line up the same way that I did here. So I'm going to get that line tool. And again, I have that point, so it just makes it easier again for us to snap to it. And again, I just want to do that at 7 feet. Press escape, and now I have my 2 lines. And so now I'm having this, it just makes it easier to create our horizontal line that goes from this point to that point. So again, I'm going to get my line tool, select that first point, and I'm going to take it over to that second point and press escape. Okay. Now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and delete those guidelines that I created. And so now I have, again, the same thing that I had when I produced my window openings. I now have that door opening here. So I just want to, again, get that press pull tool. Again, hover in the inside of that space. Click 1 time, take it back. Again, it doesn't matter the distance. And click that 2nd time, and that now creates, make sure you escape out, and that now creates the opening for my door as well. Okay, and I'm just going to again go back to my conceptual view. I'm in my home tab. I'm going to go over to view, click down, and I'm going to go to conceptual. And now you guys can see that you have your walls. You also have the openings for your windows, and also the opening for your door as well. Okay. And so now the last portion I want to deal with in this tutorial is how to, in this case, you guys probably won't have this issue depending on the area that you're working on, but I'm just going to go ahead and close up this wall here where my fireplace is. So you guys, you know, if you're not working on it, if you don't have this issue with the area you're working on, you can go ahead and exit out now, but I'm just going to go ahead and close it up for you guys anyway, just so you can see the process that I would take to do that. So I'm just going to go back to conceptual again, to 2D wireframe, excuse me. Again, that just makes it a little bit more easier to see. And I'm actually going to choose to work on my front view. And again, I'm in my home tab. I'm going to go to coordinates. I'm going to click down and I'm going to go to front view. Okay, again, that just allows you to draw on the front view here. And then I'm going to select my rectangle tool and I'm going to create a rectangle from that endpoint over to that endpoint there. Okay. Again, if you're in your conceptual, you should just see again. If I highlight it, I've just created a rectangle where I'm going to start to close that portion up. Okay. So now that I have that there, I'm going to again go back to my world coordinates. Again, that just allows you to hover a little bit better when you're in your world. But when you're drawing, you just want to specify what plane you want to work off of. Okay. So once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and just get my press pull again. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to hover over this object here, and I'm going to take it to the end point here. If I can get it, let's see. That'd be good. Okay, so I'm just going to press pull that out, and again, if I go back to my conceptual view, again, it just makes it a little bit more easier to see. I can see that that is now closed up above my fireplace. So that's kind of the basics of how you guys will do it. So what I want you guys to do, again, go ahead for your final project, get your walls in place for your area that you selected to do. Also get your window openings in and also your door openings as well. And so this is how you guys would do it. This is how we would start any model that you're doing in AutoCAD. And so I look forward to talking more about this model in class on Thursday. Thank you.